What's up, you guys? I wanted to make this video a YouTube video. I talk about this on stream multiple times, so it's very easy to make this, I feel now. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna make a quick tier list as to what I think the meta in Tekken 7 is. So the first thing when we're talking about the meta in Tekken 7, I think, what is the pace for the meta? We need to talk about pace, alright? And pace in Tekken 7 is more lenient towards the more aggressive character. And the reason I feel this way is because movement, according to all the older players, has been nerfed in this game. Which makes it so, because the characters are nerfed in terms of movement, it's very easy for you to stay on them and apply your pressure. It's very hard to step away or get away from the pressure that your opponent is putting on you. So that's the first thing that we're done talking about. Pace, it fits the aggressor. All right, the next thing that I think is very valuable in Tekken is counter hits. I think counter hits are very good in Tekken 7. The reason why, it's because you do a move, and if your opponent was doing a move, you get a combo. If he blocks it, you're safe. Primarily, most of the time, you're safe. And if he gets hit by it, you're plus. Alright, so the way it looks is like, did my opponent block the move? Yes. Did I win or lose that situation? Not really. I didn't lose any health, so we're still good. Did I hit him? Yes. Did I win or lose that situation? I won because I hit him and I got plus frames. So that's a good situation. And then the last one is, did I hit him? Yes. Was it on counter hit? Yes. I get a full combo with wall carry and everything. So counter hits are for sure very important. And while we're still on the topic of counter hits, I think the most important counter hit tool you can have is a 13 frame or faster counter hit. In other words, let's just call them magic fours for this case, all right? So magic fours, they're really fast. They come out 13 to 11. So, and for most characters, their fastest move is just a jab. You know, it's just a jab. That's all they can really do. It comes out at 10 frames, whereas a magic 4 will come out at 11, sometimes 12 or 13. So they're not that far off from the jab, all right? So these moves are really good. Because of that, there are some characters that have some, you know, like, okay, there's this minus, and I do understand that there are some variations of the magic 4, but all in all, having a 13 frame counter hit or 13 frames or faster counter hit tool is very important in Tekken, because if your opponent is playing aggressive and you sneak this in there, you get a counter hit, which makes it so you get to push away from the wall, you get to disrupt their whole pressure, all of that. You know, you get a huge cushion for just pressing one button most of the time. So then the next tool that I think is very important in Tekken 7 is a mid homing move that's safe on block. I personally dislike homing moves. I think they're pretty whack. I don't think they're like that cool, you know, but when we talk about mid homing moves, we need to talk about the other homing moves. So high homing moves tend to be plus. High homing moves tend to be plus, but the way you get around the fact that they are plus is you just duck. You could duck and you'll beat, you know, the homing move. Then there's low homing moves, and these moves tend to primarily be a snake edge. Snake edges are slow, so you can visually see them and react. And then And if you block him, you can punish him for it. Then we get to homing mids. Homing mids, I think, are a huge problem in this game, because if you block it, it doesn't really matter. And the reason why is because, yeah, they're -9, but who cares? You know, like, I didn't lose any health. And the move that they did covers so many options that it's pretty ridiculous that that's it's a thing, you know. And I'll go a little bit further into detail on which characters have stuff like this, and we'll talk about the next thing that I need to talk about is rage drives. I think in Tekken 7 you need to have a rage drive. For the small situations, there are a few times where having a rage drive is very important. And the reason why is because if your opponent has no rage and you have rage, and they're not gonna want to really press the offensive on you, because they understand that you can rage art them. So it's kind of like, okay, I don't want to really be super aggressive and get rage arted for being aggressive. So a lot of people like let them press the offensive on them, and this is where your rage drive comes into place. You have an EX move that is pretty much essentially an EX move that gives you 50%, and because you get 50%, you can change the tide of the battle. One more combo, that's all I need, and I win. All right, so rage is very important, but a rage drive is even more important. Also, situations where you're playing against somebody and you guys are both in rage, and he used his rage drive already, and you're the only one with rage. Now that guy cannot play oppressive. He can't be aggressive onto you because you have the rage art in pocket, and you can be the aggressor because you still have your rage drive. So I think rage drives are very important in this. And now that we're done, let's talk about S ranks. All right, so when I say about S rank, they have some game-breaking shit. All right, and what I mean by game-breaking shit, this is the easiest way to show this example. We're just gonna get the characters that have some game-breaking shit. All right, these characters have a parry that pretty much can parry almost everything. All right, so what ends up happening is they change the game from what it's kinda is. You know, oh, he could parry my electrics. Oh, he can, and there are characters who can punch parry. Oh, he could parry my headbutt. He could parry whatever the hell he wants. So he can make a move that is safe, punishable for himself, which is kind of game breaking, because not a lot of characters can do that. You have the option to do that. And then on top of that, let's get Leroy and talk about him a little bit more. He has the option to use his staff. So he has a rage drive on top of his rage drive. So that's pretty game breaking, don't you guys think? All right. So I think the parries that parry everything are kind of game breaking, in the sense that you get to change how a match is played, because end of the day I could just parry this last hit, which would be safe, but in this case it's no longer safe. So your opponent has to adapt to these situations, which is really weird because not a lot of characters can do that. All right, so next one, Akuma, as soon as he gets meter, he could break the game. I think we're all in agreement for this one. He could jab you into a combo. He can dick jab you into combo. Like, he's pretty ridiculous, all right? As soon as he gets his 1 bar meter, of course. The next character that I have up here is Paul, and I feel like some people disagree with me on this one, or most people disagree with me on this one, and that's that Paul has the rage art cancel. So when he gets the rage art cancel, there's very few other Tekken characters where they get a move. It's okay, think about it like this: they get a move that's minus 15, or let's just say launch punishable in this case, not minus 15, but they have a launch punishable move that has armor on it. It's a launcher. It also takes 25% reduced damage, and it grants them, if there's a wall nearby, 135 damage or something like that. So what ends up happening is he can completely steal the round for you whiffing one move, or being too aggressive, or you know, whatever the case is. And on top of that, these characters have all the stuff, almost all the stuff I should say, that I just listed. They have good counter hits, they have good homing mids, they have a magic force, you know, like their rage drives are decent, you know. I legitimately feel that way, at least. And then up here in this bracket, we need to add one more guy, and his name is Steve. All right, Steve. Oh, there's 2 more guys actually, but Steve can guard crush you. And the reason he could guard crush you is because he can hold forward 3. And this kind of changes the way you play against him, or in those situations, every single time. And when he gets into a low health, or when he gets you to low health, it makes it really hard for you to play the game, because he could guard crush you at any point. So I feel like that's kind of breaking the game, but I think he is the worst of the of these characters. All right, so the last character in this tier is long lanky dude himself. All right, and the reason why is he could charge his shit at the wall. There's no other character who could do that. There's no other character who could charge their moves, wall splash you, and get a combo. He's guard breaking you, essentially. That's pretty game breaking. You can't just sit and block, which is even a bigger hit on defense. You can't just sit and block anymore. So this is, I feel, the S tiers in this game. They have the game breaking stuff, they have all the tools that I just talked about, they have the homing mids, the magic fours, the what is it called, decent counter hits. And you know, that's why I think these characters are up here. All right, then the characters that I think are good, they're good, but you know, they don't have that game breaking shit, so they can't be the best character in the game. You know, I just feel like they can't be the best character in the game. So because of that, let's get into those characters. Brian, I know some people are gonna say Brian is not that good. Yeah, but for me, what I just listed, he has homing mids. They're not great. They're not like theirs, you know, where if you get hit by his homing mid, it wall splats. If you're in the air, you get bodied. It's homing, so you can't sidestep, you can't duck it. There's too many properties there. You know, another one is like Steve down forward 2. It's homing, so you can't sidestep it. It's mid, so you can't duck it. If you press the button, he gets a combo. Like, there's too many properties on a move that already has too many properties. All right, so he lacks the homing mids department, but I think he's like has something game breaking in the taunt jet upper. But because it's so hard to do, I can't put him up here, you know? But let's just say they reverted him to Tekken 5. Or that's what I heard in Tekken 5. I'm not sure which game, but back then, if he did taunt and you got hit, it granted him plus 18 or something like that. So doing taunt jet upper was super easy. If they reverted that, I think we'd all be complaining and saying that he's up here somewhere. But for the time being, I think he's here. Another character that I think is still really solid, has a good keep out, has good pokes, counter hits are decent, homing mid, you know, really safe to play. You know, I think Kazumi's still good. You guys can crucify me, I don't care. I think she's still good. Zafina, I think she has some of the tools that I listed. I don't know how good her counter hits are because I don't play the character. I don't really see the character often either, so I can't really testify as to how good her whole counter hits are. But I do know she's a homing mid. For some people, they tell me that her movement is game breaking and that she should be an S, but I think it's like, you know, it is kind of, but not really, you know. So I have to put her in A+. Then the next character, I think Julia, again, really good, but she doesn't have anything really game breaking unless I'm an idiot. I think some people say, oh, the safe homing or the safe mid wall bounce is pretty good, but that's all it is. It's pretty good. It's not game breaking, you know. So that's one thing. And Shaheen, I think he's good. He has 2 homing mids. They don't do much, but they're still there. You know, he has a magic 4. The 4-1 extension is the problem with this character. You know, he has the tools, but they're just not their tools, you know. So next character, King, I think for plebs, he has very game breaking shit in his throws. Like, why does that shit say 1+2 throw, but it's actually a 1 break? Why does it say 1+2 throw, but it's a 2 break? I don't, as a beginner or intermediate player, I don't really like that, but it is there. Another character fits the playstyle. Magic 4, homing mid, counter hit launcher. Then on top of that, he has good counter hits, you know, and a lot of people say he's really good. So I think, again, fits the play style, you know. So him, I think he's good. The next character that I need to put on here is Devil Jin. I personally think Devil Jin is here, you know. I think he's the best character. That's why I play him. I think he's the funnest character to play in this game. I think he has every option available to him. But his options, when we look at them on paper, yeah, I could think that, but when we look at them on paper, it's like they're not that. He doesn't have a move that I could hold out and just guard break you. He doesn't have a staff. He doesn't have something really game breaking, so I can't put him in that tier. But he does have a lot of good tools, so that's why he's here. Law doesn't have a rage drive. He doesn't have a rage drive. My boy doesn't have a rage drive. Like, come on, how could he be super good if he doesn't have a rage drive? But he does have the counter hits and the magic 4. Homing mid isn't bad. First hit lands, second one's guaranteed, you know. Second hit is a high though, so he does have some stuff. I think Mardek, some people say he has some game breaking stuff, that he does have the game breaking element to him and that I should put him in S, but I disagree. I think end of the day, his game breaking stuff is it's there, but he doesn't have that magic 4, or he does, I heard, but he's it's not consistent. So, you know, a lot of people tell me that he's good but not good. Some people tell me he's too hard. There's too many problems with the character. So more of the people that I hear is that he has too many problems. So I'm gonna put him here. But you know, if you told me he does have game breaking stuff, I wouldn't doubt that he's here. You know, so the next one is Dragonov. He has good tools. He has good stuff, but that's pretty much it. And Bob is last. So now that we're there, let's talk about why A plus exists and why there's A. All right, so we'll talk about this here in a little. All right, so A is these characters are good. Oh, Alyssa, I have to put her up here too. I feel she's good, but she doesn't have all these tools, so we can't really say that, you know, she is up there. Nothing really game breaking herself, you know. So that's how I see the characters. I think any of these characters can beat each other. There is no character on here that plays against another character and it's like, oh, he just completely loses. Whereas, you know, I feel like this is like 5-5 the matchup. So it's 5-5. It's just depending on who's actually the better player or knows more about the other person's character. So in A, I feel A plus, these characters in A plus and S, you can go in there with a game plan. For instance, I'm gonna use my main as an example. I could go in there and say, I'm gonna sidestep left against this Devil Jin player, but he has options to adapt to what I'm doing and counter my game plan. And the characters in A, if you go in there with a game plan against them, you do well because it's really hard for them to adjust and make, you know, and then make you have to adjust on top of them. All right, so these characters, I think, like, if you go in there with a game plan, them having to find a way to beat your game plan, the simple game plan, is pretty hard. You have to, it's much harder than the characters in A plus and S. Does that make sense? So we have I think these two are good. I think oh, Josie's another one. I feel like she's secret top tier, A plus tier, I should say. And in the fact that she can, you know, she has the stuff that I was talking about, but again, nothing game breaking. You could guess wrong against her a lot and end up losing rounds, so there is that on top. So I think Josie's a monster, but a lot of people just glance over her. So these characters, I feel they have, like I said, if you go in there with a game plan, it's very hard for them to adjust. But they are good on paper. This tier right here, alright, is the tier where I put all the characters that I just don't know how to play against. I don't understand the character, I don't know their frames, I don't know anything about them. So this is the ignorant tiered list, alright? Alright, so what I mean by this is, I don't know what the hell, I don't see these characters enough for me to even really formulate an opinion on them. I can't say if they're good or bad because I don't see them often enough. How can I say these characters are good or bad if I don't even play against them, how can you say that? You know, so these are all, of course, I just threw them on here, but I don't really know much about these characters. And just to give you guys a little bit more insight, I have a list that I do. So I have a document that I save on this PC, and it's this right here, this notepad is literally every character in the game in alphabetical order, and it has how many times I've encountered them in the past 3 weeks. This is, keep in mind, I like to play everybody in the first to 3. The Fang doesn't some numbers I feel are a little inflated, in the sense that, let's just say I play ranked and there's only one guy on, and I play against him multiple times in multiple sets. I'll count each set as, well, I played against one guy, you know? Does that make sense? So for instance, let's use Fang. I played against 2 Fang players, but I played one guy in 3 sets. So Fang has a 4 in that case, but should he really have a 4? The answer is no, he should have a 2. But these are all the characters that I ran into. As you can see, no Nina, no Negan, no Lars. Eliza, I ran into her twice, but they didn't play me in a set, you know? So these are all things that I list down. I think for season 4, I wanted to do this for season 4, but I started in season 3, a little late in season 3. So what I'm trying to do is season 4, I will clear out this whole list, and I'll make it a little bit more advanced, and I'll put, you know, with a little more detailed information as to what characters I'm running into. Did I win or lose against them? You know, did they even play me in a set? And the reason why I want to do it like that is because it allows me to gather more information on the characters that I play against. So with that being said, this is what my tier list would look like. I explained what I thought was good, and most of these characters have those tools. Most of these characters, maybe they have those tools, but they're just not as good, you know, or not as safe. And just to give you guys an example, all right, let's use Anna. Anna has a magic 4. She does. This is pretty well known, all right, that she has a magic 4. But it's her combo's inconsistent off of her magic 4. Let's just say season 4, they made that consistent. They also make her homing mid a counter hit launcher. All right, her back 4 is now a counter hit launcher. I think we wouldn't be complaining and saying that she's a bad character, or it would be really hard to, because she has a good rage drive. So what would be the problems then for the character? That everything's steppable, but you have a homing mid that has really good range and is a counter hit launcher, so there would be close to no reason for you not to use that move. Does that make sense? Like, then you have a magic 4, so you have a good keep out tool on top of that. So I think she would go up in the tier list, but because she's not up there. That's it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, comment, and let me know if there's anything else that you guys would like me to do. For Tekken related content, I am thinking of making more content on this YouTube channel that's not Tekken related, you know, so stay tuned for that. We're probably gonna play some Watch Dogs 2 and record those. But I think this is a very solid tier list. You can't really complain. and say like these characters are out of order. But I feel like these characters are so good that they could beat each other. It doesn't matter, you know. These characters can win against these characters, but the game having to adapt to the game plan that the opponent applies onto them is really hard. So that's uh that's my tier list, you know. See you guys in the next video. Don't do drugs, and if you do them safely, all right, you guys. And wear your mask. Wear your goddamn mask, all right. Wear your goddamn mask, you guys.